So, who's up for some Greek food? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel today. My name is the Crimson Wolf, and welcome back to the Chelsea Countdown for our return to the Conference League, taking on Panathinaikos. Obviously, with this game, we plan to get ourselves back on the winning path after our unfortunate loss to Liverpool at the weekend. Quick disclaimer, if you are new to the channel around here, allow me to give you a quick overview of the Chelsea Countdown. I go through lineups, expectations, predictions, everything in between, and come to the conclusion of what this game should look like. And with this one, said it once, said 1,000 times, we're a Premier League side. Let's roll them. Panathinaikos currently sits 6th in the Greek league, having recently taken on Olympiacos in their last 2 games and coming up against their league leaders currently. With that being said, I am going to move straight into the lineup for this game, and beginning in goal with Filip Jorgensen. Filip Jorgensen now has to have a goal, and that goal is the Chelsea first team goalkeeper slot. Robert Sanchez is starting to prove that he is not a sustainable long-term option. Between the mistakes he made at Brighton and the unfortunate performance he had versus Liverpool, the errors in his game are starting to show, and the longer those errors persist, the more chance Filip Jorgensen has to take his spot. It happened last year, albeit on the back of an injury when Robert Sanchez went out, so Georgi Petrovic stepped in. However, because of Petrovic's performances, it obviously allowed him to retain his number 1 spot even after Robert Sanchez returned from injury, meaning that Sanchez lost pretty much most games of the season, bar I believe 2, which were the Leeds and Leicester games in the FA Cup. Should Sanchez continue to underperform, and should Jorgensen continue to have solid performances in both the Conference, Carabao and FA Cup games when we reach then, he could very well overtake Sanchez like Petrovic did last year, and we could find ourselves where Filip Jorgensen is the new number 1 at Chelsea. That has to be his goal right now, so he has to be putting in top performances against every side that he faces. The only disbenefit to this entire arrangement is that because of the quality of sides we're playing, he's not really been given the best chance to show off his shot stopping, because he's not faced that many shots. If he gets in the opportunity where he has to save a shot, he has to be saving it, because if he doesn't, I find it very unlikely he's ever going to be able to overtake Sanchez. As long as Jorgensen continues to have solid performances, he could very well find himself in the Chelsea goal, starting week in, week out, sooner rather than later. Moving into the back line for this game, and I've gone with Axel Disasi, Tosin, Adarabioyo, Benoit Badiashile, and Renato Vega. I would like to see Joshua Champong, but considering what has happened so far, I feel like that's unlikely. Considering that Disasi has been captain for these games, I feel like Maresca will value his leadership in these games. And to be fair, the last time we played a cup game, he did get an assist for Pedro Neto. Overall, it's not too bad. Disasi's only really had, I'd say, 1 truly terrible performance, which was the Bournemouth game. That was not a great performance from him, I don't believe. Disasi will probably have a decent performance. Tosin does need a bit of a redemption after the Liverpool game, because he didn't play particularly well in that game. So I think he could probably do with playing this game, getting his confidence back a little bit so he's more capable should we need to call on him in the future. Benoit Badiashile, when he came off the bench in that Liverpool game, actually looked pretty solid. Up against Darwin Núñez, he was just basically annoying him the entire time, and every time he went up to him, he looked very competent. He looked comfortable on the ball. He didn't have to make any ridiculous challenges. He 100% is going to start this game, because obviously we're going to save both Levi Colwill and the returning Wes Fofana for the weekend versus Newcastle. As for Renato Vega, he is 100% going to be coming into this game with a chip on his shoulder. He will know about Maresca's decision to play Gusto over him at left back, and I can't imagine he'll be too happy with that decision. And considering the way that he was able to diminish Salah when he came on, we can understand why. So I think Renato Vega is coming into this game with a point to prove. 100% he is going to have an absolute game. I can see it coming a mile away. I think he's going to have a really good game, Renato Vega. And justifiably so. He needs to prove to Maresca that he is more than capable of stepping into Cucurella's position if he's unavailable. We have been a bit susceptible in the cup games, and I'm specifically referring to the Ghent game, because we did concede some very stupid goals. Specifically, that second one was really unnecessary for us to concede. Now, it didn't harm us because we were already 4 goals to the good by that point, so it didn't really matter. But we need to stop conceding those type of goals, because in the end, it could come down to goal difference in where we finish in this league table, and we have to be topping this league table, really. We have no excuse. We're the biggest team in this competition by a goddamn mile, and to do that, it might come down to goal difference, and we need every goal we can get, really, which means we can't afford to be conceding stupid goals. So as long as they get their shit together, this should all pan out pretty well. Moving into the midfield, and it is the same midfield that started versus Ghent. It is a return to the squad, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall and Cesare Casadei, with João Felix playing as the number 10. Now, I have said it before about Cesare Casadei, I don't particularly believe his position in this team as that deepest lying midfielder is necessarily a long-term solution, or more precisely, I don't believe it's going to work against teams in the Premier League is what I mean to say there. Casadei has been doing incredibly well, but the only reason he's been doing well is because he's relying on his power, and in the Premier League, that's not going to be enough. In these type of games where it is quite power-based, because these teams know they're not going to be able to out-skill us, basically, because they're not good enough for that, they're just going to start digging in. In a game like that, Casadei is very helpful, because he's 6'3", he's a big dude, and he can get very physical. I think that helps him a lot in these type of games, but I don't think it's a long-term solution. In this game, it'll probably work as well as it has previously versus Barrow and Ghent, but it is just a warning sign that don't get used to this being the norm, because I don't think it's necessarily something we're going to get used to seeing. It is very unfortunate we sent André Santos on loan, because this role that Casadei is playing is absolutely tailor-made for Santos. Santos is currently basically the best midfielder in France right now, playing for Strasbourg. He would be absolutely tailor-made for this role. I don't particularly understand why we did loan Santos. My only rationale that I can think of is that it was to appease the Strasbourg fans, since when he showed up in January, he was basically their best player, like by a country mile. I think we possibly sent him there to appease them, because they were getting a little bit pissed off with the fact that we own them, basically. I think we sent them there to make them a bit happier, and to be fair, I think they're pushing for European places right now, so they're going to be pretty bloody happy, and alongside sending them Petrovic, Wiley and Moreira, I'd imagine they'll be doing pretty well for themselves, on top of the fact that I think that left wing, I think his name, Nanasi, is doing incredibly well. So they'll be pretty happy with Santos, but he could do some magical things with this kind of position. As for Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, obviously he scored last time out versus Ghent. Good goal, to be fair for him, and he is starting to look better. I wasn't particularly too impressed with him when he came in, but he is starting to look a lot better, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. He did mention out the fact that he was struggling with injuries a little bit and illness, obviously, which is why he missed the Bournemouth game. So he was struggling with that, but he is starting to look a lot better. He's starting to get his energy back. He's linking up with the players quite well. He did incredibly well last time he played versus Ghent, not just the goal, but his overall performance was great. His link up with the left side of that team, specifically with the left winger, is really, really good. And his ability to thread balls through for them to run onto, which for players like Mudryk and Neto, is incredible for what they're built for. So I think with that, his game is a lot better. And I think just that him playing that left-sided 8 role really does work for us. He is going to have a pretty solid impact on this game. His ability to just dictate play a little bit is going to work massively against these type of teams. And as I say, I think his link up with that left-hand side is going to be amazing. As for João Felix, he was probably very unlucky not to play the Liverpool game, because I think he probably might have been able to have a bigger impact on the game than Christopher Nkunku, which, considering what Maresca did with Nkunku when he brought him on, playing him on the left wing, I would have rather him put João Felix on, because João Felix I think is more suited to playing left wing than Christopher Nkunku is. I think his skill set's a little bit more attuned to that. And to be honest, considering the fact that he got basically frozen out of the entire game, João Felix might have been able to add something at the very least different to the game than Cole Palmer, because Palmer didn't have a good game versus Liverpool, let's be honest. He didn't, but he was just completely marked out of the game. So maybe throwing João Felix on there as possibly a last-minute Hail Mary might have just shaken things up a bit. So now they're left wondering, oh, what has this guy got? What, we don't really know what to expect here, because we didn't expect Palmer to come off. So maybe that's something that we should have looked at in that game. Felix has been killing it in these type of games. He did, I think, incredibly well in the game versus Barrow, was very close to man of the match for me. And then I think he did quite well versus Ghent as well. So we do need to start utilising. I know a lot of people have been putting some doubt on Felix quite recently, and it's mainly to do with the fact that he's not been playing so much. But come on, be fair to the guy. His competition to play number 10 is the best player in the Premier League. That's not exactly an easy position. It's like telling, I don't know, frickin' Jackson to go to Man City and expecting to play a ton of games when he's got Erling Haaland to contend with. Come on now. Be fair and be realistic. Felix does have to take these kind of chances when he gets them, because if he doesn't, then we're going to start to look a bit like, okay, maybe this was a bad idea. I love Felix. I really do adore the guy. I think he loves being at Chelsea as well. I've never seen him happier than when he was at Chelsea the first time, and now he's never been happier. So I think he loves being here, and he is very capable. Like, we know he's capable, and he just needs to start showing a little bit more of his effectiveness. And if he can do that, I don't think anybody will question why he's here. Moving into our front line, and it is Mykhailo Mudryk on the left, Pedro Neto on the right, with Christopher and Nkunku up front. A lot of people have been heavily backing Mudryk quite recently because of not only his performances in the cup games, but whenever we've seen him come off the bench, specifically that Nottingham Forest game, when he provided an actual pitch-perfect cross onto Christopher Nkunku that was very unfortunately saved by Matt Sells, because it was effectively straight out, and to be fair, it's a very good save. Clearly, Maresca has had time to work with Mudryk, and because the team's been performing, Mudryk doesn't necessarily feel the pressure on him anymore. I think Mudryk is starting to become a little bit more confident in himself. We've always known Mudryk as a confidence player. We've always known that. But now that there's not as much pressure on him, he's starting to look better, and because of that, he's starting to look more confident. I mean, he provided a pretty good assist for Pedro Neto. I say good, I mean sensible more than anything, which is that he goes one-on-one with the keeper, and he knows he has Neto to the side of him, and instead of taking the chance of shooting, he squares the ball to Neto, and Neto taps it home. And then provided a very, very good assist for Renato Vega versus Ghent, going back post of the goal, crossing the ball, and Vega heads it in to put us 1-0 up versus Ghent. So Mudryk has been very, subtly becoming a lot better. A lot of people even were clamouring for him to start versus Liverpool, which I thought was quite impressive. I wasn't one of those people. If you've seen my preview for that game, you'll know I did suggest that it should have been Jadon Sancho. Mudryk is he's in a good place right now, Mudryk. I think he's happier than he's probably been in a long time at Chelsea. He's playing with confidence. He's playing with a bit more of a smile on his face, and I think that's just making him into a better player. As for Pedro Neto, Neto is knocking down that door to get into the first team. He knows he is more than capable of usurping one of Madueke or Sancho, and he is basically making it his mission to get into this team. Every time he's come on, he has looked great, and every time we've seen him start games, he's looked pretty good as well. He scored in both the Ghent and the Barrow games. He's just overall becoming a very good player. He was our most dangerous player in that second half versus Liverpool. If he can go and have an absolutely stellar performance, he has got to be in with a shout to start versus Newcastle. Whether it's Sancho or Madueke, he's got to be up there with a shout. When we're starting to see why we bought Neto, he is a proper winger. He knows how to beat his man. He knows to run to the byline and to cross the ball. And as long as he has someone in there to hit, Neto will thrive on chance creation, because that is what we bought him for. He is a creative winger. He's not necessarily a goal scorer. He is a creative winger. And the more he keeps doing that, the more and more Maresca can not really continue to deny that he should be in the first team. And the more that keeps happening, I think the better that this team is going to become, because I think Neto genuinely is inbound for the first team. We brought him in to be in a first team player. I think he was supposed to be the solution to our left wing, but then we got ourselves roped up in the Jadon Sancho situation. Sancho came in and actually started playing pretty well, but I think Neto is definitely looking at that first team and thinking, I can get into that. And I think that's what he's going to do. It may not be now, it may not even be the weekend, but I think he is some way going to end up in this first team, because I think he is good enough for that. And then you have Christopher Nkunku, our top goal scorer in all competitions. Obviously managing, I believe, 3 goals, across the Conference League, as well as his 1 goal in the Premier League and hat-trick versus Barrow. It's no secret, to be fair, and Nkunku is our best finisher in the entire squad. His finishing and his composure when putting his foot through the ball is better than anybody's in the squad, even Palmer's, to be honest. Palmer may be our best player, but I don't think there's a better finisher in the squad than Christopher Nkunku. However, he didn't exactly have his best performance versus Ghent. I don't particularly think he played particularly well, and the reason I say that is because I don't think Nkunku necessarily fits playing as a striker. I don't think his skill set is really designed for that, really. That was why I never wanted him to be the striker. He is clearly capable of doing it because his finishing is just that good. His close quarters control is better than anybody's I've seen. Like, that goal he scored versus Bournemouth was incredible. Just his strength to shrug off 3 defenders and put the ball in the far post was just amazing. I've always said it, is that if you give Nicholas Jackson Christopher Nkunku's finishing and close quarters control, he'd be the best striker on the planet. Nkunku is just so good at that kind of thing. I am still hesitant about playing him as striker. I think he is better playing deeper. As long as he's just able to keep banging in goals, no one's going to complain. Like Neto, I think Nkunku is knocking down the door to get a start. The only unfortunate bit about that is while he isn't always the most necessary for goals, the only unfortunate bit is while he isn't always the first man to get a goal, what Nicholas Jackson provides to this team is very important. Like, his link up with Palmer is quite literally the best in the Premier League. Since the beginning of last season, nobody has combined for more goals than Nicholas Jackson and Cole Palmer. Like, we've seen this before. We've literally seen this before in a Chelsea shirt. African striker helping English midfielders score goals, and vice versa. That is the recipe for something that will carry us far, which is why I think Maresca's been very hesitant that despite Nkunku clearly being a superior finisher to Jackson, what he provides to the overall team is something that he lacks in comparison to Jackson. So, I mean, if Nkunku's had those kind of chances, he had them versus West Ham and versus Forest. The Forest one, it was obviously to win the game, and it's a good save from Matt Sells. And to be fair, it was a good save from Areola, the one versus West Ham. To be fair, to give a touch on Marc Guiu, he's been quite unlucky not to start these kind of games, because he looked very good in pre-season, to be honest, Guiu. And I think that miss versus Servette has probably put him a bit out of the thoughts of Maresca, which is unfortunate for him, to be fair. Eventually he's going to get a goal. Eventually he will do it. Hopefully it's this game. If he comes off the bench, I really hope it is. But we will wait and see. But for now, Christopher Nkunku starts up front, and hopefully he goes and gets a goal. As for a score prediction for this game, and our last 2 cup games, we put 5 and 4 past them respectively. So I am going to go for 4-1. I'm going to go for 4-1. Annoyingly, I can see them getting a really stupid goal when we just fall asleep a little bit. But I think we'll put 4 past them. I think it'll be, I'm going to say 2 goals from Pedro Neto. I'm going to say a goal from Mykhailo Mudryk and a goal from Christopher Nkunku. We just need to go and win this game, really, isn't it? Like, there's nothing really more we can say about that. We've been quite rightly praised for our performance versus Liverpool, because yes, the result wasn't great, and we did have a couple moments where we could have been better, but we did overall play quite well. So we just need to make sure that we're not slipping in these type of games, even if it is our second team playing. So as long as we go and win these games, nobody bats an eyelid, and we can go on. We are head and shoulders the favourites to win this competition, and if Maresca can win this competition, it puts a bit of faith, a bit of hope back in this team, because we can get some European silverware under our belts again, and that is something that we desperately need. So the longer that this run keeps going, the happier everybody's going to be in and out of the club. So let's just go and get this win, man. So that was my predictions for the game versus Panathinaikos in the Conference League. I hope you all very much enjoyed, and please leave your thoughts in the comments down below. One last thing before I go, I will, and this is not a chance, this is a nigh guarantee, will be live streaming my reactions to this game on this channel come Thursday night. So please show up. It is my first time live streaming. I would really appreciate anybody who so happens to be watching this game to please show up and just come and watch the game with me. So if you're watching this, I do hope you show up. But regardless of that fact, I'm going to say my name is the Crimson Wolf, the reddest Chelsea fan on the internet, and you have all been amazing. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Good luck with it.